These kinds of mass shootings never happen with the kind of frequency they happen in America. Why? Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? We have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act.
It's time to act. How many administrations have we heard say that? Well, welcome back to DBL. That was President Biden speaking last night from the White House about the horrific shooting. As many of us are saying, thoughts and prayers are just not enough anymore. Something has to change to keep our kids safe in schools. So for more on this, we are joined by retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey. Welcome. Thank you, Cheryl.
Sergeant Dorsey, after hearing the news, in your opinion, what needs to change to keep our kids safe or even just safer in schools?
Well, listen, we will do the best that we can. It's very difficult when you're being reactive to something that you have no way of knowing when and where it's going to occur. And so I say we need to just get ready to be inconvenienced a little bit. I think we need to harden our school sites, lock doors. I know that people don't like the idea of creating a prison-like environment on school campuses, but if shooters and gunmen can't get into the campus and they can't get into the classroom, that would be a good place to start.
Sergeant Dorsey, first of all, I would question what people don't like that idea, because as I'm wondering if they're asking any of the kids about how they feel about their safety when it comes to locking doors. But I just want to ask you, what do you say to people who think this isn't a gun issue, that believe in their Second Amendment rights, and who say the answer is to harden schools by arming teachers?
I don't really agree with arming teachers because, listen, you have to be proficient, and teachers are already talking about how they're overworked and overwhelmed, and they're wearing so many other hats aside from just educating our children. And so if they don't have the time, absent schooling and parent meetings, to become proficient, now you have a weapon that is really useless in the hands of a teacher. And so while I don't necessarily say no to everything, I don't think necessarily more guns on campus is going to stop someone from entering the campus, entering a classroom, barricading themselves, and doing what happened yesterday.
Well, my next question is, what about the idea of locking down our schools by increasing police presence? Does it make sense to have just police posted at every school across the country? Is that even feasible?
It's not possible. There are 18,000 police departments across these United States. And when we say police departments, maybe a lot of people envisions a police department large like LAPD or NYPD, but there's a lot of police departments where you've got 6 officers. And so what are you going to do? Have all 6 of them on how many school sites you have? And so it has to be common sense. I think we need to sadly have a conversation with our children and have them be cognizant of what could happen and have an idea about what they might do in the eventuality that something goes terribly wrong in the classroom. Yeah. It's not going to change anytime soon.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, I think we all
I really do.
Unfortunately feel the same way. Sergeant Dorsey, you are sticking around. We're going to continue to talk about the tragedy in Texas after the break, so stay with us with Sergeant Dorsey. We're here with retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey. Sergeant Dorsey, now many of our viewers watching have kids or grandkids in school, and many of them are scared sending them to school today after hearing the news. In fact, Sergeant Dorsey, I sat in the parking lot watching my child play on the playground for at least 10 minutes. What advice do you have for all the parents, caretakers, grandparents out there?
I say be proactive with your children, advocate for them, have conversations. Sadly, these are different times that we live in. These are difficult times. And so we need to prepare our children, whether they're at school, whether they're out with friends at a movie theater, whether they're with us in a grocery store, about what to do in the eventuality that we become involved in an active shooter situation. If you have a plan, if you're prepared, when that thing happens, hopefully the children would act instinctively and have an idea about what it is to do and not panic.
Well, you have kids and grandkids of your own. I have 3 children, and I'm asking you this as a parent and asking you on behalf of our viewers. I'm scared to talk to them about gun violence because I don't want to take their innocence away. But is it time to drop that and just get real about what this world that they're inheriting is, and just have some real difficult discussions?
If we want to do our job as a parent, which is prepare them for the future, I think we have to be honest. They expect us to be honest. And I think it's unfair to send them out into a world, the type of world that we find ourselves living in, ill prepared to deal with the kinds of consequences, with the kinds of circumstances that they're going to find themselves in. And so, yeah, they don't get to be innocent, unfortunately. Those days are long gone. And if folks are not bothered by, Sandy Hook, everything else that has happened since should not surprise any of us.
Sergeant Dorsey, as a retired LAPD sergeant, you've worked with a lot of gun violence victims and their families. So what do you have to say to folks in Texas who are grieving today?
What I would say is, reach out to the people who are a part of that club that no one wants to be a member of, who've been where you are, who know your pain. It's very difficult to have those conversations with someone who hasn't experienced the loss of a child in such a horrific way. And so there are support groups. There are people. I heard one of the parents from another mass shooting at a school say that anyone who wanted to call the network that he was on last night could call that network and ask to be put in touch with him. He wanted to be a resource. And so there are many, many out there who are willing to help, work with, and be a part of that grieving process. And don't be afraid to grieve, and don't rush yourself through it.
Sergeant Dorsey, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. We really appreciate it. And for our viewers at home, go grab a copy of Sergeant Dorsey's latest book, The Confidence Chronicles, The Greatest Crime Story Never Told. Pick it up wherever books are sold. We'll be back after the break. Thank you so much, Sergeant.
Thank you, Sergeant.